Cheeseburger in paradise. Cheeseburger, it ain't right.
Do you even know the lyrics to the song you're singing?
I think that's all I got. I actually know the South Park version better, but I don't think that's appropriate.
You are an absolute idiot. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to Call To The Bullpen podcast. No, we don't sing Jimmy Buffett here. I actually know all the words to that song. Jared clearly knows three.
That's
and then
why I thought
the
he
next
was going to pick it up. I set the table.
No,
right there.
You ruined it before it even began.
No. You see, here's the thing, folks, because apparently I'm following the format of what's apparently the in thing in baseball these days, because starting pitching doesn't mean anything. We just need an opener. We need somebody to get through the first inning, and then we just bring in the bullpen, because that's how you win championships, apparently.
Well, not if you're the Yankees.
That's true. Not if you're the Yankees. Well, this is Call To The Bullpen, so we will be making calls to the bullpen. Welcome back to another episode. It's episode 2 of season 2, if you can count that far. I've lost count already. Is next one the 4th one? It's a joke. Haha.
No.
Haha.
Anyways.
More baseball talk. We'll talk some more football coming soon. Probably going to try to get a football guest on, if you will. Bring Chasey B back into the fold. But we're going to talk baseball because it's baseball season, and I'm in the mood to talk baseball.
Yeah.
So the Yankees suck.
They're much worse than when we last did this show, yes.
Absolutely. And
1
we won't
in
just
5.
talk all Yankees today, but we will definitely talk some, and they're pretty damn bad right now. Kyle, I know you said you got something to say. What do you got?
Say. Yell. All right, so where do we start? Because, the thing is, Yankees have no problem starting games, but when you've had a lead in all but one, and you're 6-9, starting isn't the problem. They just can't finish.
Can't finish.
The bullpen can't do the job. Chad Green was he a fluke in 2017? Because he wasn't good last year. He's terrible this year. And for God's sake, Aaron Boone or the analytical team, whoever it is, can we stop bringing in Jonathan Holder? Why does he lead all the relief pitchers in innings?
Jonathan Holder clearly can't hold a lead.
I can't deal with it. And Britton, he's coming along slowly. I don't know about the whole injury thing. Chapman finally had a good outing against the White Sox. Who else? Who else is in that bullpen? Ottavino, he's been pretty good.
Ottavino's been consistent. He's
Too many walks. Yeah, he's fine. Cut down the walks, but yeah, overall he's fine. But I mean, you can't have a lead. And
Tansis is hurt for God knows how long.
Yeah,
so that's
Cashman will continue to lie to you, saying, "Oh no, he'll be back in 3 weeks."
He'll be back.
Just like Aaron Hicks was supposed to be back for the Tigers series.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. They're just trying to keep your hopes up, so you keep buying tickets.
Truth.
I know they just signed Hicks to that big money extension, so there's like the pressure for him to return. But honestly, I'm not holding my breath, and like I said, I know they invested in him, but I don't think they're missing him that much. I don't think he's, if he comes back, does he change this lineup? I don't think so. I think that Frazier has produced at the level of what you would have expected Hicks to do in his absence anyway. I think that are they missing Giancarlo? And are they now missing Sanchez? Absolutely. And Andujar to an extent as well, although LeMahieu is giving you what kind of you got from him.
He's one of the best players in baseball right now, and he's easily the best player in the Yankees, no questions asked. I think what we are missing in Hicks is his defensive ability above Frazier. And I could just, name a few. Was it against the White Sox or the series before?
Astros, where he missed 2 balls that cost him at least 2 games.
And then he let one drop in front of him that scored a run.
He was gun shy.
And put a guy on when, and he pulled up 3 steps before he should have, and the ball dropped a step in front of him. So, I mean, he easily could have gotten it by just not pulling up and putting some effort into catching the ball. And in plays like that, when you have a bullpen that's struggling, can't happen because you need as many outs as you can get. When you're giving them free outs, you're not going to get anywhere.
And his defensive miscues is why fucking Mike Tauchman has to play. Correct. Which leads into my next point that we talked about last week, where Aaron Judge should not be batting in the 2 spot because nobody below him, 7th or 9, are not table setters. So Judge is coming up every at bat with nobody on base, and it's fucking driving me insane.
Yeah, it is, and it's making life.
Putting DJ in the 3 spot, and then Boone goes ahead and puts him in the 1 spot the other day, and I'm like, what? I just don't get it. I mean, I understand. All right, yeah, LeMahieu's getting on base, so you want to put him in front of Judge. Why don't you then bat Judge 3 or 4 and LeMahieu 2 and then or 3? You know, in front of Judge. You know, if you want to put him in front of Judge, I don't think 1 and 2 of LeMahieu Judge makes any sense. Judge needs to be in a 3 or 4 spot with the injuries that we have. Move totally Andujar up, move LeMahieu up, and put, you know, Judge 3 or whoever, Torres, you know what I mean? Or Andujar's hurt, so whatever. You know what I meant.
The problem right now with Torres, he's batting like, I think his last almost 30 at bats, he has 2 hits. He's gone downhill all of a sudden. I mean, this entire team right now is just a mess. And here's a fun fact for you that I learned today. This is the second time in 100 years, first time since 1982, that the Yankees have lost their first 3 home series, and it's inexcusable. I don't want to hear about the injuries. You're playing the Orioles, Tigers, and White Sox. You don't need your A-plus team to beat those guys, and you're 3-6 at home. It's unacceptable. Boone just sits back. He's a puppet for the franchise. I get it. But he's got to show some fire. Get tossed. Do something. Somebody charge the mound. Show some heart. And this is coming from me.
Yeah.
This is boring baseball.
Absolutely.
And when the second they start losing, you have no faith they're going to come back right now.
Absolutely.
And they
ridiculous. Have leads, then they give them up late. You know, they give up leads in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, and then they can't get them back because they can score a couple of runs at first. But even when they score, it's been, 3 runs or 4 runs, and then they give up a 2 or 3 run lead late in the game, and they can't get it back.
And let's talk for a second.
Yesterday, they had 3 hits in the first 4 innings, and then I'm sorry, I think they had all their hits in the first 4 innings, and then they didn't have another hit to the end of the game. Like, they'd never had another hit. How do you hit only in the first 3 innings of the game and then not have a hit the rest of the game?
And then the game Friday, was it Friday? And it was canceled because of the rain after the 7th inning.
Delayed.
Did anybody care? Did anybody have any faith they would come back and win and score 3 runs because Chad Green wants to gives up back-to-back home runs to put them down by 3?
Nope.
Did anybody have faith they would come back?
Nope.
That game was called. I didn't even care.
Yeah.
It's bad.
And let's talk about the mismanagement of the pitching staff for a moment. Prime example, this game against Houston that just wrecked their week because they were ready to close out that first game of the series. You've got Tanaka, who's going 6 innings strong, under 80 pitches, 1-run ball, no walks as usual. After 78 pitches, Boone pulls this guy, throws out Britton and Ottavino back-to-back. Not only did you yank Tanaka early, but you put in your best relievers. One day before, you're throwing out Loaisaga, who you had to expect wasn't going to go any farther than the 3 innings that he pitched that night. So, that's just total lack of foresight, and they paid dearly for it. And then they're getting they're not getting enough out of Paxton, and they're getting 0 out of Happ right now.
Yeah, and on top of it, Paxton, Bruno, what'd you text me today about Paxton going to see a psychologist now?
Yeah, he's going to see a sports psychiatrist because apparently his over 8 ERA, I didn't even know that, is getting to him, and he's having some issues. I heard that on the Michael K show, so I'm pretty sure they got a good source.
Yeah,
that's scary. You're 3 starts.
Yeah, apparently he's having
scary.
Anxiety attacks because he can't handle the pressure in New York, according to the info that Kyle sent me today. And again, his source was the Michael K show. So I don't think they would talk about that on air if it wasn't true. So I mean, if Paxton now goes out with a mental breakdown issue. I don't know.
The most I heard about him
seems like everybody. Go ahead.
I think the most I heard about him was just that he was tipping his pitches. It was something that Carlos Beltran observed, and they were going to work on. So I mean, like you said, they cannot afford to have this guy if he's going through any kind of crisis of that nature. That's going to keep. I mean, we've already had all these injuries. Last thing we need is somebody.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like everybody showed up, got paid, and then we're like, let's just sit the year out. One guy goes down, the next guy goes down, the next guy goes down. I mean, it's almost like every day I'm just waiting for somebody else to get hurt. It's absolutely insane.
And now Romine's banged up. He's not on the IL, but who knows?
Yes, so now we have, Higashioka, whatever. Higashioka, I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Higgy, apparently, is John Sterling calls him, I believe. Or is
let's get Higgy with it.
Yeah, let's get Higgy dingers. With it. Yeah, so my dad literally calls him in the middle of the day and is like, do you know who our backup catcher is? And I'm like, I can't even begin to hazard a guess. It's like, Greg Bird. Yep, Greg Bird. Like the Chris Davis of the Yankees, Greg Bird.
Oh, God, no, I'd rather have Chris Davis.
I mean, Chris Davis hit a home run. Did you see that? Chris Davis 1 yard against the Red Sox.
Bird went Yahtzee on opening day, but the crazy thing is, Bird's actually only got a spot on the roster because he plays better defense than Voit. No, I know he sucks.
Yeah, that's true.
But
that's true. But Voit does hit the ball a lot better. I mean, granted, he hasn't been fantastic, but he still has been hitting the ball relatively solid. So
there's your lineup mismanagement talk there. By the way, I gotta go on a little rant myself because I think that the Yankees have overbought into the Luke Voit hype. I think even of last season. I mean, this guy. He just, at this point, he's a guy who had a little hot streak for a month or two. He's not solidified himself as being a 3 or 4 hitter in this lineup. And I think even with all the injuries, he should be batting 5th or 6th right now because guess what? He might be the team leader in RBI, but he's only batting barely 200 right now. Like, he hasn't been that good. And I feel like there's been a lot of instances this year where pitchers have confidently put Judge on base, pitched around him because they believe they can get Voit out. And most of the time they're right.
I agree. He does have a crazy on base streak right now. Yeah. He's been on base, I believe, every game this year, and I want to say it might be over 20 games dating back to last year.
Well, I mean, there you go. At least on base percentage is something that is above Greg Bird. So, I mean, so then what's your ideal roster? If we're going to talk roster mismanagement, where are you in with the injuries? Like right now, with the guys that we have, what is your ideal roster?
I'll give you a lineup for you. I think, yeah, I'll give you a lineup right now. Given the injury limitations, this should change, all things considered, within the next week or two. But right now, I'd say whoever you're feeling, Gardner or Frazier leads off, and then the other one bats 6th. Kind of depends on lefty righty or who's got the hot bat. I think whoever's doing better leads off. Then you have LeMahieu at 2nd. Then I'll slot Judge in at 3rd. I'll have Glaber clean up, and then I'll put Voit at 5th. But bearing in mind, when everyone gets healthy, Voit, when you get Stanton and Sanchez in there, I see Voit at no higher than 6th.
Yeah, I mean, he's hitting the ball. I mean, we can't take that away from him. He is on base, like Kyle's been saying. I mean, he's only hitting 200 this year, but I mean, his on base percentage is 328? Is that what I'm looking at right now? Yeah, 328. It's not terrible. It's better than most. What's he, top 5, top 6 on the team? I mean, do you even count Gio Urshela? He's had 8 at bats, and Stanton's had.
Urshela's been surprisingly good.
Yeah. I mean, he hasn't been horrible. He's batting 300 in his 16 at bats.
Small sample size.
Small sample size. But, I mean, absolutely. But, I mean, even Clint Frazier's hitting almost 300 this year.
Yeah,
he's 290 now.
No, he's doing fine. I think that you're better served. I think that Torres and LeMahieu are better. They're better served hitting ahead of Voit. And if you want to sandwich Torres in between Judge and Voit, then I think that's not a bad idea. Although, when they're all healthy, people seem to be very against the idea of Glaber hitting so low in the lineup because he's such a threat. But I think he rounds it out really nicely. They're kind of not. They don't have that luxury right now because of all the injuries that you obviously can't bat a guy like that 7th or 8th. But again, once everybody returns, and even if, I mean, this is really best case scenario, you get Andujar back sometime in the next few weeks, then you can manipulate the lineup in that way and maybe experiment with dropping him in the order just to create more balance and avoid that weak spot. Because right now, there's no denying we have a 7 through 9 weak spot in the lineup.
So this was the lineup I texted Austin a few days ago. I would go DJ 1, Frazier 2, Judge 3, Torres 4, Voit 5, Bird 6, Urshela 7, Romine 8, Gardner 9. I feel like you can have Gardner and DJ and Frazier, who actually has some pop, set the table for Judge and even Torres because he hits pretty well with the runners in scoring position.
I don't hate that. I'm fine with dropping Brett. I think that Gardner is totally washed up, and he's only in that lineup based on experience and injuries and nothing more. I mean, you saw last year, once they got McCutchen and once they had the rest of the outfield out there, he was not a starter. But now they kind of have no choice, and he's not He's not performing. He's not having a good season by any stretch of the imagination. And really, he's been so undisciplined at the plate. I'm so surprised for a guy at his age, with his experience, to be chasing the kinds of pitches that he's chasing. It's just baffling to me. Someone who's been in the league for 10 years at this point.
They've all been chasing pitches like crazy, though. We were watching the game Saturday. Yeah, Saturday we were watching the game.
Yeah,
and they're just chasing everything. The whole team. Just pitches out of the zone, pitches out of the zone, pitches in the dirt. They're chasing.
And then they're going behind 0-2 each count, too.
Correct. There's no confidence. There's nothing. They're horrible right now. It's
and
insane.
Back to Jared, your point earlier in the show, the reason I think Hicks is really missed, like Austin said, his defense, Gardner is no longer a center fielder. And even in left field, is going to be tough this year because you really got to be as good as a center fielder to play left field at Yankee Stadium. It's big.
That's true.
It's not normal left field.
Absolutely true.
You really need two solid center fielders, which is why the Yankees actually gave Gardner and Ellsbury long-term deals. One plays center, the other plays left. Just obviously Ellsbury hasn't worked out.
Yeah, well, that's Ellsbury for you.
Ellsbury, it sounds like there's no timetable on him whatsoever. I said at the beginning of the season that
yeah, I mean, Ellsbury's just irrelevant. I mean, he shows up, he gets hurt, he shows up, he says he's hurt, he probably isn't even hurt, he's just lying. He's going to get paid, they'll pay him off, open up a roster spot, and get him out of there. No one cares about him anymore. He's absolutely irrelevant. I don't even think about Ellsbury as a Yankee until somebody even brings up the fact that he still exists. I mean, literally, he should just retire, and they should just pay him because it's just dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he shows up, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to stick him in right field instead of Aaron Judge? You're going to stick him in center instead of Hicks? You know, you're going to put him in left instead of Frazier?
We're not even sure he can track a fly ball.
That's what I mean. Because of what? Because of what sample size? You know, what reason would Ellsbury have to start over a guy like Clint Frazier or over a guy like Aaron Hicks or even DH instead of Stanton? Where are you going to put him? What's the point?
Yeah, there really is no place to put him. And
I mean, do you dump Tyler Wade back to AAA just so you can put him on the roster? All right, fine. I mean, really, you know, you're not going to lose anything there. But what's the point? Even at a full healthy team, where does he fit? AAA? Maybe you should just stick him in AAA just to piss him off. You know, you've been hurt for this long. Go rehab down in AAA for the next year. There you go. We didn't pay you for anything. Now go ride a bus with those guys.
If anything,
they don't even want to do that because they get insurance money when he doesn't play.
No, that's true. Yeah. So just pay him off. Call it a day. Anyways, so let's move on from the Yankees. Been talking about the Yankees for a while.
Some good news. Mike Trout is back.
Yes, that is true. Mike Trout is back
tonight.
So good for baseball. The Yankees are 6-9 just in the standings ranking.
Nice.
I think Kyle said that earlier. You know, I mean, listen, you know, they're still projected for a decent chance at making the postseason. I mean, right now, which is extremely surprising in the AL East, Tampa Bay is 12-4. And Kyle did say this before the season even started, that he had Tampa Bay making the playoffs. He now thinks they're going to make the World Series.
I think that's me just being pissed off at the Yankees.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I see the Rays.
I think you got a solid shot. If they can keep this up, man. I mean,
they don't have many weaknesses.
I don't get it. Where did they get these guys from? I can't even name you a player on the Tampa Bay Devils.
Kevin Cash is one hell of a manager. I believe he does go by analytics, but he's also a very good player coach. I love Kevin Cash. I wish the Yankees had. I
can't name a single guy on this team. I mean, Austin Meadows,
yeah.
But other than that, Kevin Kiermaier, I thought he was dead. How old is this guy? He's
Kiermaier,
30.
he got the big contract like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
he's not terrible last year.
G-Man Choi.
He was a Yankee.
For 11 and a half minutes. Blake Snell, Charlie Morton. All right. Couple bodies there. Who the hell? Chaz Rowe. I don't know who these guys are. Man, I can't tell you anybody on this team. And they're fucking 12-4 right now. And they're killing people.
The sign of a good organization. They just happen to play in Tampa Bay where nobody cares.
I mean, granted, all right, let's say this. They played the Rockies. They won 2 out of 3.
What happened to the Rockies?
And the Rockies are supposed to be a playoff team this year.
I have them. I think I even thought they might go to the World Series.
I don't know, man. The Giants, they won 2 out of 3. All right, that's fine. Giants are rebuilding. Whatever. White Sox, they swept. And the Blue Jays, they took 2 out of 3. I mean, White Sox, they probably should sweep. And the Blue Jays, you should have swept anyway. So, I mean, really, losing 1 to the Rockies, 1 to the Giants, and 1 to the Blue Jays. And where else is this 4th loss? 1, 2, 3. I'm counting 3 losses, so I don't know what CBS Sports is telling me with 4 losses. 1, 2, 3.
While you're looking, can I just say one more thing about the Yankees? They have to treat, if they want to win the division, they have to treat each game, 19 games, I believe, against the Rays, like it's Game 7 of the World Series.
Oh, yeah.
You have to win those games. Now you have no choice.
You had to win games against Baltimore. You didn't win all your games against Baltimore.
Yeah,
this was an issue last year where they...
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get back to the Yankee talk again. But yeah, I mean, Jared, exactly what you're going to say, and I'll let you take the meat of the argument. But look back to last year. The Yankees lost 9 games or something like that.
12-7, I believe they were against Baltimore.
Yeah, 12-7. So I mean, Jared, go ahead. You had a point to get across.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, right now they've lost their first 3 home series to open the season. They're all against teams with losing records, and I mean, I think any team in your division, you have to take care of those divisional games because they play each other so frequently. And with how bad the Orioles are expected to be this year, how bad they're likely going to be. I mean, does anybody see them winning more than 50, 60 games? I don't think so. So there's no
probably not. I mean, listen, man, they're 7-10 right now. They're better than the Red Sox.
Well, yeah, but the Red Sox, I mean, the Yankees are lucky that they've been off to as bad a start as they have been. But they're going to come around. There's too much talent on that team not to. I do think Tampa Bay is dangerous because they sneakily put together a good season last year. It's just that they couldn't catch up to the Yankees or Red Sox, and then the A's surprised everybody with their surge in the wild card standings. But I thought from the beginning of the season that the AL East was going to churn out 3 playoff teams. I figured that the Rays were going to take a step forward, and Oakland seemed a little fluky, and there's only going to be one team coming out of that AL Central division. So I think the Rays are for real. Do I think they're going to win 100 games? No, but they should win, I think, in the low 90s range at this point. I mean, there's a lot of inexperience on the roster, but they're playing cohesively at the moment. So I think they should be taken seriously, and they're probably going to have a winning record this year. They're probably going to, at the very least, threaten for a playoff spot, if not get into that wild card game. So there's time for the
more than 3,000 people in attendance at a baseball game this year.
I've been
They struggled to sell tickets in the World Series against Philly in 2008. I think it was.
Yeah,
but they have a fan base. I'll give a
fan base. They really don't.
75 and above.
I've never been there.
I have.
But
I've been there twice.
Sucks, and I've heard it's a terrible commute. My best friend, actually, he was there over the summer, and he sat towards the upper deck. He was telling me, the ceiling was, falling during the game.
Jesus
can I ask a logical question here? Why, if you're going to build a dome stadium, would you give it a white roof when the game is played with a white ball that's hit high in the air?
Yeah, but what other color would you put there?
Black?
Yeah, but then you can't see.
What do you mean?
There's lights, Kyle.
There's lights.
I don't know.
Gray.
I can only
see the ball against.
I mean, they're
black.
all white though. Toronto's white.
Think about playing at night. What do? You look up into a black sky.
Yeah, but it's different. I don't know how to explain it, but I know I played in not that I'm comparing baseball to softball. I played in a softball tournament recently indoors, and
Is the roof black?
Yeah, the roof. It's dark. It's like a dark gray. Ball went in the air. I couldn't see it. Seriously, I would just look up.
You can't see a ball that's put in front of your face.
All right, no argument. But if I could somewhat see it, I'd catch it.
That's fair. So Tampa Bay is 12-4. Orioles are 7-10. 2 weeks through the season here. Red Sox 6-11. They're struggling a little bit, but I'm sure they'll pick it around. They're the Red Sox. They'll turn around.
I am looking right now.
They'll be in contention.
They're tied with the Orioles right now for the most runs allowed in MLB. So their pitching staff is sucking a male appendage right now.
That's an interesting stat. I didn't even look at that stat. Look at that. Tampa Bay 40 runs allowed. I mean, the Yankees 63 isn't terrible in comparison to how bad their bullpen is. I mean, it's not like we're getting absolutely demolished. So,
well, hold on. That actually, hold on. This goes to show the problem here because they have a losing record. They're 3 games under 500 with a positive run differential.
Yep.
As the great Aaron Boone keeps saying, we are really close to turning that corner. If I hear that one more time,
he's an idiot. What about the Mariners, man? Pushing for the freaking AL West here. I mean, they're 13-5.
I don't get it. They were supposed to be horrible this year.
Absolutely horrible. They were absolutely supposed to be horrible.
They did.
You can't predict baseball, Susan.
Yeah. Thanks, John Sterling.
Well, they did just get swept by Houston.
Man. Jay Bruce is having a fucking year. I mean, in comparison to years past, he's already got 7 home runs, 13 RBIs. I mean, he's not batting phenomenally, but that Vogelbach dude, I mean, this Chris Farley looking, Pillsbury Doughboy, and he's hitting freaking 378 with 6 home runs and 11 RBIs. If I asked you before the season who Daniel, you know what? I'm going to ask you right now who Daniel Vogelbach is. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's a lot coming from me.
Yeah.
And
he's absolutely raking the ball. Yeah, I think he had two home runs Saturday or Friday night, something like that. I mean, he's killing it. And he's like their first base DH. I mean, he's this just chunky, fat white dude who doesn't look like he should be playing baseball, and he's ripping the hell out of the ball. So I absolutely don't understand.
It ain't just him. Let's talk about Domingo Santana. You heard of him? He's the MLB RBI leader right now.
I've heard of him, yeah.
He had 20 RBIs.
He had a good 23.
Wrong. 23. You're right. I was looking at strikeouts. Sorry. Yeah, 23 RBIs, which, I mean, that's fucking impressive, man. And a batting average of 333 and 75 at-bats. Are you kidding me? That's great.
That is
absolutely great. 25 for 75.
Yeah, I mean, like, just last year, he's already eclipsed his RBI total from last year, where he had 20 in 85 games. And his best season prior to this was, good year for Milwaukee, 30 dingers, 85 RBI, 278 full season. That's his only full season in the big leagues. And going to Seattle, which is not a hitter-friendly ballpark, to be performing at this level. I mean, this whole lineup is just, I mean, they're hitting for contact. Look at all the guys batting over 300 so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They're not looking bad.
They're just fun to watch, too.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still think the Astros will take that division. I think it's going to be a tough division, though. You got teams like the Athletics and the Angels who are always legit contenders.
Listen, the Angels. I know
Angels.
They have.
They could be a contender.
No, aren't the Angels?
No, you're blinded.
No, they're 8-7. They're
Listen, you are. You're blinded by the fish oil right now.
Blinded by the trout.
Exactly.
Let's come back to this in June.
Yeah. No, the Angels are always.
I'm saying the Angels could be legitimate.
Hey, you can't predict baseball. I'll say it again. You never know.
It's true. I still think the Astros will take that division. But,
absolutely.
What about the Mets? What are you thinking about the Mets? 9-6. They're leading in the freaking division. Who would have thought they'd be in a 3-way tie with the Phillies and the Braves 2 weeks into the season? Granted, we're still early. We're talking super hypothetical.
Jared, yeah, you definitely said that a week ago.
I
still think it's going to be a 2-way battle between Atlanta and Philly, but who knows? You just don't know. But yeah, the Mets have looked good. Can't front. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And I correct myself. They are actually in second. Philly is 9-5. The Mets and the Braves are 9-6. I read the wrong number. But either way, I mean, still impressive. Impressive baseball going on 2 weeks in here.
Phillies and Mets are playing right now.
Truth. There you go. It's a game of first place.
Yeah.
The Mets bullpen is kind of. I mean, Familia has gotten off to a pretty bad start for them. I have a diehard, the guy that sits next to me at the office. He's a diehard Mets fan, and he is taking this positive start to the season with a grain of salt.
Can I just point out the New York Mets started 11-1 last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, just if he gets cocky, give him that reminder.
Yeah.
Oh no. He's quite the opposite. I mean, but I will say that if anybody's saying if anybody's ragging on DeGrom because he had 2 poor starts in a row, he was really sick heading into the one over the weekend. So, I mean, he had a total meltdown against Minnesota, but this one appears to be more, feeling a bit under the weather. So I think we should cool the jets if anybody's thinking like this guy, oh, he's lost it, he's not himself anymore. I'm sure he'll be back to dominating everyone and making life miserable for the rest of that division in no time.
It's too early. These guys, their arms will loosen up come, May, June, July when the weather gets warm.
Oh, yeah.
So we keep talking about players doing well, players doing bad. Let's go back to an MVP candidate in 2018 who fell off. Jose Ramirez was easily in the MVP race most of last year, correct?
Yeah.
Since August 2018, here are Ramirez's ranks among 98 players with 200 plate appearances since August 15, 2018. I'm reading this from CBS Sports. His batting average is a 198. That's 98th overall. On-base percentage, 275, 94th overall. And slugging percentage, 262, 98th overall. and that doesn't include going 0 for 11 in the ALDS last year. That's bad.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Can't go over 11 in the ALDS. That's just not a thing.
You look at his numbers last year. I mean, the batting average dropped significantly within the last month or so of the season, and pretty much all of his power stats came before that month started. I mean, this is a guy who, even with his final stat line, is looking like he's an improving player, along with Lindor. I mean, with their subtractions in the offseason, they really needed Ramirez and Lindor to continue at the clip they were moving at, which is continually getting better with each passing season. And now Lindor hasn't seen the field all season, and Ramirez might as well have been on the bench at this point because he's given them next to nothing, and their lineup is pretty paltry outside of that. So it's honestly a miracle that they even have a winning record at this point, but they just got swept by the Royals.
Yeah, and not to take it off the field for the Indians, but if you're an Indians fan, a couple weeks ago before the season started, their owner, I can't remember his name, he was talking about, he told the Indians fans to enjoy Lindor. Somebody asked him about a possible contract extension for him, and he basically just said, I'm not giving him big money.
So basically, he's telling
Paul Dolan him for the next 2 years. Yeah. Basically, he's telling the fans to enjoy him for the next, I think it's 2 years, and then he's just going to let Lindor walk because he doesn't want to pay for him, which is absurd. Absurd. If teams like the San Diego Padres can give out these huge money deals, the Angels, who else got all the extensions, a lot of small market teams, even the Tampa Bay Rays gave Blake Snell a huge extension. They can easily afford it. They choose not to. I feel bad for Indians fans. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah,
that's horrible.
It really is. And the Indians, I mean, they're a team that it looks like their championship window is rapidly closing. I mean, they let's see, they were within few outs potentially.
They were up 3-1, in 2016, right?
So the Cubs won. That was the series lead. They had a damn good chance to win that Game 7. Which, I mean, that was back and forth and crazy. And then the following season, coming in to play the Yankees, I don't think any other team in recent baseball history was as hot, as momentous as the 2017 Indians were heading into the postseason. Everybody forgets, because they lost in the first round to the Yankees, this team had won something like 30 of 33 games or something like that.
They broke a record for most wins in a row.
Yeah, they broke the Athletics record. Yeah, I think it was 22 games in a row that they won.
And then they went up 2-0, and then it really does. I'm not even just saying this as a fan, but it feels like the Yankees slammed their door shut.
Oh, 100%. I mean, because they crushed the bullpen. I mean, the bullpen was their strength. It was, Kluber, their ace, and Miller and Cody Allen. Those were 3 of their guys, and the Yankees proved that they could hit all 3 of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll never forget Didi hitting the home run in the top of the first against Kluber. Oh God, I miss Didi.
And then another one.
We didn't even talk about
another
missing
one.
Didi. Didn't even talk about missing Didi.
Could we?
I mean, you're missing everybody. You could argue Didi is the heart and soul of that team.
Absolutely.
Can we?
I believe he's the glue guy.
Man, could you imagine? Let's say best. This is best case scenario, but you've got, what if by mid-season we've got a situation where you've got Didi and Andujar back, Glaber at second, Voit at first, work LeMahieu in there as a DH, or maybe it's LeMahieu at first and Voit DH, and then your outfield of Stanton, Hicks, and Judge, Sanchez behind the plate. Wow, what a lineup!
Oh, it's the best are a legitimate baseball team when they're healthy, but right now we're playing with guys the likes of.
You have Mike Tauchman, Tyler Wade. Now I can't do it because of you.
Higashiga, Urashela. You got guys that just aren't.
They're not major league players. Greg Bird should probably be in Double-A. These are not major league players, and they're key cogs of your team right now. It's just a bad recipe.
They're giving you neither side of the ball. It's a joke. I mean, it almost seems like somebody on the Red Sox has a Yankees voodoo doll that they keep stabbing over there.
It's just insane, man. Everybody's hurt.
How does everyone get hurt?
Even Tulowitzki. It's great, we picked up Tulowitzki. Oh. He's an insurance policy, they said.
Yeah, that's the.
He's hurt.
That's a gripe I have with Cashman this season.
Our insurance policies even on the team.
Yeah, you picked up a guy who hasn't played in a year and a half to play for a dude who won't be here till mid-season, July, August. and he got hurt. Did he even make it out of the home opener? Oh no, the first 3 games.
Well,
I don't
honestly,
think
he was like the insurance policy because they did get LeMahieu as well, who I'm sure that even if Tulowitzki was if he was healthy and Andujar did not get hurt, I don't think Tulowitzki would be guaranteed everyday playing time. I think he would be the utility man coming off the bench. You'd probably see a situation with Andujar at third and Glaber at short, LeMahieu at second every day.
If this Yankees team gets fully healthy, I don't think Tulowitzki is on the postseason roster as soon as we get there.
No,
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I think Urshela would probably beat him out at this point.
Unless somebody else is hurt at the end of the year or it's just for that extra body. You know what I mean? But I absolutely don't think he's on a postseason roster. There's no reason for him to be. With a healthy team, why would you?
Not trying to rag on it, but Tyler Wade was all pissed off for being sent to AAA because of the Mike Tauchman acquisition. Wade's horrible.
No, Wade's absolutely
horrible. He has been so bad.
Really,
he's done nothing.
He really threw a fit at the end of spring training. He was really upset that he didn't make that roster. You figured, all right, he got his opportunity. Now he's going to show them why they can't drop him, and he's done anything but.
He's hit $176. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible.
Not playing good defense either.
No, not playing good defense.
And that was the one thing that he had he said it himself. He's like, I know, like I've always had the defense, but this spring training I worked on improving my hitting. I feel like I'm finally there and I'm major league ready. And it's like you got neither.
Yeah, no, he's not good for as much shit as he gave everybody for sending him back down to AAA. It's not like he's not making any difference. You know, this was like you said, this was your time to step up, and here we are.
That's why you got to give someone like Clinton Frazier credit. I mean, he's hit pretty well because this is his time. Because nobody is going to replace him right now until Stanton gets back.
Absolutely.
This is his time to show he can do something, and he has.
He has.
Defense is a bit questionable.
Yeah, but I mean, he's hitting 300. You know, just shy of it.
I think pitching wise, they're not in the worst position. I think they're the two guys that they're down right now are Severino and Betances. Severino, they're clearly going to be missing.
I don't think he pitches in 2019.
Ooh. What do you think, TJ?
I don't know about that.
It's not his elbow.
I just don't.
It's a shoulder. So
I just don't believe the Yankees when they say they give you a timetable. You could tell me they're saying Sanchez could be back in 10 days. I'll be surprised if we see him in April.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard. You know, these guys are they're not that hurt. They're not that hurt. Then they're on the 10-day DL, and then then they're on a 3-week time frame. Then they're on a 6 to 8 week time frame. It's like.
Last year, Judge broke his wrist, and they were shouting 2-3 weeks.
That was just nuts.
Okay.
I mean, come on, man. I know it's only it was a, what was it called? Chip fracture, where it's just like a segment of the bone that gets chipped off as opposed to like a full-blown break. But 2 to 3 weeks was just insanity.
Yeah, that wasn't happening. I'll tell you what, though. One of the coolest moments last year was when Judge took the field coming back from injury. He wasn't allowed to bat. He was a defensive replacement, and Yankee Stadium just went nuts.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That was so cool.
They did that because the morale was down, so they stuck him out there for a defensive replacement, and the place went nuts and, gave him a little bit of hope that they had a shot, because losing Judge close to the postseason was not something the Yankees wanted to do, obviously.
I was worried he wasn't going to come back.
Yeah. I mean, he came back just.
He had a good postseason, too.
Yeah, well, let's not jinx anybody else getting hurt because I said that last week about Sanchez in the middle of a game, and here we are.
Middle of the game when he took the shot to the nuts.
And now he's on the IL.
I know we're talking about not trusting the timetables that the Yankees give us, but I mean we can go with common sense of what we've seen. Stanton has been swinging a bat ever since last Wednesday, and he wasn't supposed to pick it up until the weekend, so he's a few days ahead of schedule. And Sanchez, they said that the IL was a precautionary thing, that he didn't want to go on there, but they wanted to be better safe than sorry. So it doesn't sound like those guys are going to be out longer than maybe another week. I'm optimistic that they'll be back soon. Hicks, I'm not holding my breath on. Andujar, not holding my breath on. But I do think Stanton and Gary will be back before the end of the month.
I hope so. Selfishly, I'm taking my son. Well, I'm going with my family. But I'm taking my son to his first Yankees game, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. Yeah, he loves Aaron Judge. So Selfishly, I'm hoping a bunch of those guys are back.
Well, obviously.
What was I forgot what you just said. What was his second point?
That everybody's back in a week?
Yeah,
I
had something else in my head and I just lost it. I'm sorry. I'm also watching a hockey game at the same time.
What hockey game? What you watching over there?
Bruins, Maple Leafs 3-2. About 30 seconds left in the second period.
How about those Islanders?
Well, if we're gonna talk about different sports, let's give a shout out to Mr. Tiger Woods winning the Masters, baby. Come back.
Yeah, good for him.
Honestly, I think one of the biggest sports comebacks in the history of.
It could be the biggest
sports. I mean, it was absolutely incredible, and I watched it. I watched the entire third round. I watched a little bit of the first round, but I watched pretty much the entire third round. And to see the old video of him coming off after winning his first and hugging his father, and then winning this one, putting it in, coming off, and his son running up to him and jumping in his arms was just like, man. I mean, that's
tearjerker.
That's absolutely incredible. I mean, you're talking a 17-year difference between those two. I think it was no, yeah, something like that. It was something along those lines. But the fact that he had his father there to watch his first, and then he goes and wins his fifth, and his kid's there, and he wins in front of his friends and family, and after maybe never playing golf again, and he comes back and wins the Masters. Like, he didn't win, the Travelers Championship in Hartford, Connecticut. He won the fucking Masters. It's.
I'm not a golf guy. Is that the biggest tournament?
It's the Super Bowl of golf.
It's
awesome. The biggest tournament.
I don't watch golf, and it takes a ton to pull me away from it, especially a Yankees game.
Yeah,
I was watching that entire thing. That was so cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for him.
Yeah, it was good for him. And it was cool because Brooks Koepka actually had a chance to put some pressure on Tiger. If he had made his birdie putt on 18, Tiger would have had to, I believe, par to win. And if he bogeyed, he would have tied or something along those lines, or he would have had to birdie to tie, or birdie to win, par to tie. But he missed his birdie putt, and then still Brooks waited until Tiger won right outside of the clubhouse and, shook Tiger's hand and gave him a hug, congratulating him.
Class.
So yeah, absolute class. And what's actually cool, not to continue on it, but when Brooks won his first major, Tiger was there, and Tiger waited outside the clubhouse for Brooks to congratulate him on winning his first. So just a lot of respect across the board there, but cool little, sports moment for Tiger to win that, and something that we will probably never see again. Unless he keeps playing like that, because man, that was cool to watch Tiger play. But anyways, since we're still talking about sports history, we're going to dedicate this show to Jackie Robinson. It's not National Jackie Robinson Day, but it is Jackie Robinson Day in the history of baseball. Teams are wearing 42 in honor of him. 72 years ago, made his major league debut, broke the color barrier, and really opened the eyes of the public to a lot of good things to come. And we don't talk about race or politics or any of that kind of stuff on the show. But obviously we're all for equality, especially in sports, but you can't
talk about Jackie Robinson without mentioning that, because
correct.
He's a piece of not only baseball history, but American history for that reason.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, just really, really cool to see, and, really cool to see the respect across baseball. And, obviously just the general population, but, like Bryce Harper's wearing, cleats dedicated to him and batting gloves dedicated to him. And I think he's got his bat painted in some weird way, in dedication to Jackie Robinson. And obviously everybody wears 42, so cool to see.
Also a little,
she did.
Little random breaking news tidbit, totally switching the subject from sports in general. Pro wrestling, Raw's going on right now, and New England veteran wrestler competed under name Hanson on the independent scene, but
Warbeard.
Yep, Warbeard. He just debuted on Monday Night Raw. They have changed the War Raiders name. From that's what they were called, NXT, and apparently they're on the main roster. They're now going to be known as the Viking Experience.
I like the whole Viking thing, but the experience is a little weird. I could call it like the Viking clan or something like that. I don't know, something Viking cool clan. That's not the Viking Experience. Like, I don't know. This isn't. It's not a talk show. It's a freaking wrestling stable. You know what I mean? Like, that's like That's like the Edge and Christian podcast. Like, it's the Viking experience.
That totally
like,
reeks of awesome.
I don't know. It's fucking stupid.
I think
anyways,
Todd's new name
good
is...
for him. Good for Warp.
Yeah.
Kyle's looking at us like we're actually stupid because he doesn't understand anything that's going on. But Jared, just for a little background, so Kyle understands what the hell we're talking about. This guy, Warbeard Hansen, wrestled for a company called New England Pro Wrestling, NEW, which wrestles out of the Bethany Town Hall a lot.
Yeah.
Yep. So they
Nice.
they run shows at the Bethany Town Hall a lot, and Jared is a manager on their shows. So he manages a few of the wrestlers, and has segments out in the ring and beats people up and whatnot.
That's awesome.
And obviously, I've been around the group of NEW wrestlers since the old CTWE days, so I've run into quite a few of the guys. Met Warbeard a bunch of times, and obviously, the whole rest of the group I'm relatively decent friends with also. So good for him. It's just for us, Kyle, it's cool to see a guy who, granted, I don't work for NEW. Like I said, I pretty much know everybody on the roster, and I'm relatively friends with most of them. It's cool to see a guy who wrestled in the Bethany Town Hall and with our friends, and for our friends make, debut. It's like, a kid who we played high school with, like playing Major League Ball,
Yeah, for sure.
Kind of the same,
awesome.
kind of the same concept. So it's really cool to see that, and even at the what's the other one? The ROH NJPW crossover thing a couple weeks back. Seeing Matt Taven, another guy on the NEW roster, win the title of pretty much like the minor leagues of wrestling, if you will, Kyle. It's like the AAA, World Series, if you will. And this was
cool.
This was actually just a little sports tidbit. It was the only, Jared, correct me if I'm wrong, it was the only other wrestling show ever to sell out Madison Square Garden other than a WWE show. Is that relatively correct?
Not since, I believe, the year was 1963. They gave a little history tidbit there. I think that's the last time that a non-WWE promotion ran that building, so it was really historic because they
ran that building but sold it out. Like, they didn't just have a show in it and sold a couple thousand tickets. There was 20,000 people in that place. It was sold out, and you were there. So
not only did they sell it out, but it was an instant sellout. This was not like that's
amazing.
Ticket sales are straggling, and now it's kicked the door open because now there's a promotion from Mexico, AAA, that's going to be running a show at the Garden this September. I believe they secured the date.
Good.
So I just love the fact that like that building has so much history to it with professional wrestling, and now the door's been open for all these different promotions from around the world. We saw Japan, and now we're going to see Mexico, and it just goes to show that I feel like it just means so much for these companies to show their brand of wrestling to the mecca, really, of sports and entertainment at MSG. I was at that,
and to have it be a promotion other than WWE, who's pretty much had the lock and key on Madison Square Garden as a wrestling promotion forever. So to see a promotion like that, and again, guys that we know, a guy that you that you manage personally, a guy that's part of Jared's trust fund, if you will call it, his stable, wrestle at this show, in Madison Square Garden in front of 20,000 people, and Jared was at the show as part of another stable, helping out.
That's awesome, Jared. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
And guys like Matt Taven, a guy who wrestled and held the NEW title, and I think he wrestled for CTWE at some point, right?
He was part time with CTWE. He did his share.
A guy who wrestled in Bethany Town Hall just won the second biggest wrestling championship on the planet.
Without question. So, he's
cool.
The guy. Yeah, the guy standing on top of a ladder. That's the same position that like Shawn Michaels stood at WrestleMania like 25 years ago. So it's I'm sure it was a surreal moment for him. It had to have been like the pinnacle of his career and life, in all honesty.
Yep, absolutely. So we will get back to baseball here. So what else are we thinking? What else you got, Jared?
Baseball wise, man. We talked a little bit about the Indians. I know that with their struggles and the downward spiral that they seem to be on. I'm not going to say it's a total collapse is in store for them this year, but it wouldn't surprise me if that Central Division turns into a bit of a dogfight because the Twins and Tigers even have some kind of up and coming younger players. Not necessarily that they're going to take the league by storm, but if this turns into a situation where high 80s is enough to win the division, I think that at this point any of those teams could threaten for that, because the Twins were supposed to take a bit of a leap forward last year and regressed. So with Cleveland trending downward, that's an option. But I think I said it earlier in the program that I don't see more than one playoff team coming out of that division. We talked NL West. Central, the Brewers are doing well. The Cubs are off to a slow start. I think it's a Boston thing over there where there's just too much talent for them to stay down for too long, and I think eventually they're going to figure it out. They also have a positive run differential, but a losing record.
Yeah. How the hell are the Rockies fucking 4-12 right now, man?
That's my biggest.
No pitching.
Right now.
No pitching. No pitch for you.
Yeah, no pitch for you.
How's Arenado doing since signing that huge contract?
Oh, he's incredible.
Not incredible.
He's playing great defense. I'll give him that. What is his
254 right now? Only one dinger, 9 RBI. But it's early. Trevor Story batting average is a little low as well. Charlie Blackmon actually has not given them a lot, which they need those guys to hit because they did lose them.
Yeah, it's true. He does not have any home runs. He's only batting 234. So
Trevor Story, he needs to have a big year because he's next in line for a contract extension.
Yeah, and he's not doing horrible though. 242, 4 home runs, 10 RBIs. I mean, he's leading the team in RBIs and home runs right now.
Going back to what you were saying about the Indians, I think unless they are a clear runaway with their division, I could see them selling off Kluber and Bauer.
They're aging. If they feel like the team's trending, I feel like what we saw the last few years is that even though they might be good enough to make the playoffs, they're just not good enough to hang with the AL East or the Astros. They just have their number, and now the roster has thinned out even more than those past couple of years when they looked like stronger contenders. So it's the time where you have to be realistic about your situation. I mean, the Yankees finally figured that out after a few years of mediocrity that we're close. It's like, well, just because you're not completely horrible doesn't mean that you're where you want to be and that you need to keep the status quo. Sometimes the rebuild, you can reach a point of stagnancy without being the worst team in the league, but you can still be just as far away from your ultimate goal, if that makes any sense. So I agree that I could see them shipping off some of those veteran pieces.
Yeah, they've given that core every chance to win a World Series. You just let Encarnacion leave. He's with the Mariners. Like I said, I can just see them selling off. I could even, if it continues, I could see them possibly shopping Ramirez, maybe shopping Lindor. If you have no intentions of signing him, his value will never be higher than it is now because he's still under team control. So I could see that being the big move. Possibly. I'm not saying it's going to be, but possibly.
Yeah, that's another thing. If you're planning on getting rid of Lindor, then it makes sense to shed Kluber and potentially Ramirez as well. You might just go full-fledged, young talent all the way through. And at which point you probably would wish that you had a guy like Clint Frazier because the Yankees acquired him when they gave them Andrew Miller a couple of years ago. And a couple of years ago, Cashman looked like quite the genius, huh? I mean, he pulled off that trade. He pulled off I think the Chapman for Gleyber Torres swipe has got to be one of the best trades in recent MLB history because the Yankees loaned them Chapman for a couple months, went and re-signed him, and get an absolute stud second baseman in return.
Cubs won the World Series, though, so they're okay with it.
Yeah, but short,
Chapman was huge.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying the Cubs
but for your first trophy in 100 years, it's worth it, 108.
It was worth it. It was worth it. I think that the way I phrased it made it sound like the Cubs got, ripped off, but I don't mean that by any stretch of the imagination. Just saying that, for the Yankees, could not have asked for anything more because you knew that season was going nowhere.
Oh, I completely agree. And now we have a cornerstone guy for the next 10, 15 years. We spoke about that last week. But yeah, no, it was a good deal all around. And if the Yankees win a couple World Series, then we can say we won that trade.
Yeah, true. I mean, hell, I'll just take one. It's been 10 years. I think we're just, it's tough. We're spoiled. I was born in 93. I grew up just knowing the Yankees being good and knowing World Series wins. and being a part of watching so many of them is like, okay, I was 15 the last time one happened. Here we go.
I wish I celebrated a little harder in 2009.
That's true.
I thought we'd be back.
Yeah,
I've not been back.
Me and Jared celebrated pretty hard at that Raul Ibanez 2-home run game in the playoffs. There, we were definitely celebrating at that one. That place was rocking. Anyways, more baseball news. Clayton Kershaw is activated since not pitching so far this season. What was he, scratched before his opening day start or something like that? And he is starting today against the Cincinnati Reds. And speaking of the Cincinnati Reds, there is an ex-Yankee on the Cincinnati Reds. His name is Sonny Gray, and he is 0-2 with a 2.03 ERA right now. So he's not doing great. He had a pretty decent start. His last start, I believe, it was just the other day. I think they still got the loss, or maybe it was a no decision for him. I don't really remember, to be honest.
I think it was a no decision.
Yeah,
I think he left early because
he was with the Marlins or something like that.
All I know is J Happ is becoming the new Sonny Gray.
Oh, absolutely,
scaring the hell out of me.
Yeah. Sonny Gray in his start against Miami went for 4 innings and 2 hits and 6 Ks, no earned runs. And then they won. So somebody else must have got. Oh yeah, because they didn't take the lead until after he came out, it looks like. So either way, Sonny Gray just kind of doing his same old shit. Not really looking very good. Some scores across baseball right now as of recording time on Monday, April 15th. Mets are tied with the Phillies in the 4th, 5-5. Chicago's got the lead above Miami 5-2. Milwaukee beating St. Louis. Minnesota beating Toronto. Angels have a lead over Texas. Royals have a lead over the White Sox. And Baltimore beat the Red Sox today to go ahead of them in the division. And Chris Davis. All right. We got to touch on this. And we didn't talk about Chris Davis at all. You screwed me, dude. Really, you slapped me right in the face, man. I make a post making fun of you, put a little thing up. It's one of them stupid Drake memes with, he's putting the hand out and he's like, nah, I don't want that. And then he's got the finger out like, yeah, give me that. And it's Chris Davis with a CH on the top. And he's like, nah. And then it's Chris Davis with a KH on the bottom. And he's like, yeah, give me that one. And I put Chris Davis watch. After an unsuccessful pinch hit at bat last night, Davis is now 0 for 54 dating back to last season. When do you think he'll pick up his first hit? Well, needless to say, 14 minutes later, Chris Davis ripped a 2-run single against the Red Sox. So, good for you, but I hate you for it. I'm glad he's out of this slump, though. As much as it's fun to make fun of him, because, man, it is so enjoyable to make fun of you and you suck.
You know what? I think that in honor of this, I am going to hand out the first ever on this podcast Ole Redemption Award to Chris Davis for breaking his streak, and now maybe he's ready to go on a new streak, a positive streak.
Dude, he hit a home run today. He went 3 for 5 in that game against the Red Sox, and he hit a home run today in this one. I'm just saying, what did he go today? He went, 1-3 with 2 RBIs and a home run.
Don't call it a
Good
comeback.
For him, man. You're right. Don't call it a comeback. Absolutely, though. So that is our first ever All Moment Redemption Award. It's like when what's that guy? Tosh brings people in for the Tosh.0 brings people in for the redemption videos where they do something stupid and he has to have them redeem them. That's what this was. Chris Davis, you redeemed yourself. You are our All Moment of the week last week, and here you are redeeming yourself with a couple hits in a couple games and leading the Baltimore Orioles to a win over the Boston Red Sox. Who would have thunk?
Dwight Smith Jr. hit a 310-foot home run. That right field pole there?
Yeah.
That's even shorter than Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Yeah, he hit it.
It hit the pole
right next to the. It may have skimmed it, but it was that short.
That's hilarious.
He reached out, poked it.
310 feet, folks.
That's
Can't make it up.
A 2-run dinger.
A toddler could hit a 310-foot home run. And Red Sox fans say Yankee Stadium's too easy to hit home runs in. Okay, well, maybe you should take half of the wall in left field and make an actual wall in right field, and then you'll have a normal baseball stadium.
You want to build the wall?
Somebody couldn't build Jenga blocks in Boston, clearly. So, yeah, just some new sports updates of the day. Jared, you want to kick off the old moment of the week?
I think that I just traded mine in to be more positive for a change. I don't have one. I mean, like if I had one, it would probably, I mean, we shredded the Yankees earlier. There were probably like 10 different things I could have picked from, but we've all addressed it in a less lighthearted and more angry fashion. So I don't think I have.
That's true.
I got nothing.
All right, well, Kyle's got one, and then I may also go. So,
Good.
Jared, what time is it?
It's time for we need Chase back. Moment of the week.
Come on, man. Kyle, go ahead.
All right, so here's a moment. We're going to change gears here and go to the ice. Tampa Bay Lightning having a historic season. They win 62 games, steamrolling everybody. They are currently down 0-3 to the Columbus Blue Jackets. And Game 3, actually in Game 2, Kucherov gets suspended, misses Game 3, and they really could have used him in the third period last night. And now, in a little bit of an unfortunate circumstance, Victor Hedman, the defenseman for Tampa Bay, will not be playing. So when you're a do-or-die game, you're going to be missing arguably your best defenseman. So yeah, the Lightning have just completely shit the bed. None of their big guys are playing well. It's kind of funny. I mean, never want to see it like that.
Kind of sad for me because I mean, I work for Spectrum TV, and they are, I mean, that team, the Lightning, we've got signage all over the place. So pretty much everybody at work has been in very high spirits all season long because they've been blowing everybody out of the water, or out of the ice, for that matter. And it's been, without question, the best season in franchise history, which is crazy because that's what they were saying.
Easily.
That's what they were saying last season. Like last season, when March was rolling around, every time they won a game, the announcers were saying, and the Lightning have broke this franchise record and that franchise record. And then this year, put that season to shame. So anything short of a Stanley Cup is going to be a letdown. Could you imagine if they lose Game 4? Oh my good. I mean, it's already like, more than likely they're done, period, in this series. But if they get swept, oh man.
I will say this, because I do believe Tampa Bay is a lot better than Columbus. If Tampa Bay wins Game 4, we will at least see a Game 7. That's just my prediction.
I mean, the team's a powerhouse, so, it doesn't take much for them to get hot. We've seen it all season. It's just like, man, they've already lost 3 in a row. So, I mean, if you just, it's do or die. I mean, it's happened in hockey more than other sports, I believe. That's correct, right?
Oh, absolutely. Off the top of my head, I don't even think it's happened in the NBA, a 3-0 comeback. Baseball.
Don't remind me.
Shit, the Red Sox.
You actually forgot. Oh my God.
That's how irrelevant the Red Sox are to me.
Oh man, if only. Oh, that was awful. I was at such a bad age for that too.
You never know.
I was just getting old enough to know what was really going on in baseball too. And that was that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was.
Oh my God.
Hey, Bruins fan, is Marchand still licking people?
I hope so.
Thought they said they were going to suspend him if he kept sticking his tongue in people's, I don't even know where. That is the weirdest dude on the planet. Who just skates around the ice licking people in the face?
He did it multiple times.
I mean, it was like 6 different occasions. And finally they were like, dude, you're going to give somebody something. You can't just walk around licking people in the middle of a hockey game.
Incredible.
Who does that?
Marchand.
I mean, clearly. Anyways,
man.
In the world of football,
Sports.
I don't know if anybody heard about the whole, the GM of the Packers had to tell Aaron Rodgers that he has to get along with the new manager because they can't fire and try to rehire another one in the beginning of the season. Yep. I mean, that's just, man, I love Aaron Rodgers, but come on, dude. Just don't play with a coach. Just tell him you'll make all the calls. You probably do anyways, but have some control of your team, Mr. GM. I don't care how good he is. Have some control of your team.
I don't follow football in depth, but he seems to have a huge ego.
Oh, he does. Absolutely. I mean, granted, he is one of the best players in football, but still.
My stance, I believe that Aaron Rodgers is realizing that he's not getting any younger, and his I think that, I mean, it's kind of unfair, but quarterbacks are pretty much, they're judged so much by the rings argument. And I'm not saying that Rodgers absolutely needs a second one to solidify his legacy, but the thing is, he's missed the playoffs more often than a quarterback of his caliber theoretically should, and it's not his fault. And I think he recognizes the time is running out to have another signature playoff run to solidify his legacy the way that somebody like, Peyton Manning did, that Drew Brees aspired to do this year, and he might get another crack at it next year. And obviously Tom Brady's done that so many times that I think Brady having all these rings has made it seem that, like, if you're a quarterback and you don't have more than one, then you're just a fluke. At least, I mean, I don't think that that's a fair analysis. I don't think it's an accurate analysis, but I think that as a competitor, I think Aaron Rodgers feels like, his time is kind of running out to do it again and prove that he can have that repeat success.
Go play for the Giants. Kidding. That'll never happen.
Russell Wilson might, though.
Yeah, Russell Wilson has still not signed an extension. And he said that if they went after the deadline and did not sign an extension, that he would not sign an extension.
So you're going to tell me if they don't give him the contract he wants today, he won't sign it tomorrow if offered? I hate that deadline.
I don't know, man.
There's no deadline.
I don't know. I'm just saying there's been rumors that the Giants want him. There's been rumors that they were going to trade for him in the first place. And now Sierra, his wife, the singer, wants to move to New York. So I'm just saying, Giants got Darnold. They don't need Russell Wilson. However, I would take Darnold also.
Well,
so if he wanted to go over
the
there,
Jets
then we could take Darnold from the Jets somehow. Either way, I'll take either one of the two.
Could you imagine if they were to
Giants suck?
Could you imagine if they were to get Russell Wilson after trading Odell Beckham, though? I mean, I get why I know it was a management call. I think I have a good idea of why they made the move by now. But oh my gosh, from a playing ability perspective,
at least they extended Sterling Shepard, so at least you have him. And we got some draft picks, man. I'm not saying it's going to be right away, but this team could come together. They've made a couple moves, signed a couple guys. They're still talking to a couple guys in the offseason. Defense has gotten a little better. Offensive line's gotten a little better.
Even
we got a couple picks to work with.
Even with Eli Manning, I think that they could win. It's going to hinge on the offensive line. I think that the tape shows that Eli Manning's playing ability hasn't really changed all that much. It's just the offensive line has been awful, and it reflects poorly.
Absolutely.
And it's not a sexy argument to pick on the offensive line. We'd much rather on ESPN talk about how bad the quarterback is, so they just pick on Eli all the time, even though the tape shows otherwise.
Well, yeah. That's what you do.
Yeah, no.
You pick on the quarterback no matter what happens.
Yeah, it's dumb, but they could win.
Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we're going to wrap this one up. This was episode 2 of season 2. Thank you for listening to episode 1. If you did, if you are currently listening to this, send us a message, comment on our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever you want. Let us know where you're listening. I know we keep saying it. We get a little bit of feedback here and there. We've been getting some more comments on our Instagram posts, which is really cool. But feel free to give us some feedback, comment on our stuff, ask us questions. You want to ask us a legitimate question and have a debate about something, we'll air it. We'll call you in. We'll have a little on-air interview. We'll figure it out. Send us some feedback. Shoot us a message. Reach out to us. Whatever you want to do. Talk about sports. That's what we're here to do. We're here to drink and talk about sports.
The Yankees they make me drink.
Yes.
This has to get turned around. I know we're done with it.
Last year they're 6-9 right now. Last year they were 9-9. So it could happen.
Yeah. But the thing is, last year they were relatively healthy. So you were like, okay, they're going to put it together and go on a run. And they did. Now it's like we don't even know if and when these guys are coming back, and it's so damn frustrating.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. I mean, like I said, I think that they're going to be getting Stanton and Sanchez back before you know it. I don't view those as long-term injuries. Sanchez is already swinging a bat. Sanchez is calf strain. Stanton's already swinging a bat, so I don't think it's anything to be really concerned about.
I hope so, but I'll tell you this: if they lose both games to the Red Sox, fans are going to be walking off cliffs.
They will be.
You got to at least split, but just win 2. Fire everybody back up. Win 2. Oh, just please don't lose both.
Yeah. I mean, it's only a 2-game set, so you got to you got to do something to get some momentum here. Then you're going to play the Royals for 4, the Angels for 4, then the Giants. So I mean,
West Coast trip, right?
West Coast trip, yeah. So I mean, I guess Kansas City's not super West Coast, but either way, Midwest. But yeah, no, I mean, you definitely got to start getting some momentum here if you want to get back into the fold. The Royals are definitely very beatable, and the Giants are very beatable. The Angels are they're right in the middle. They're a good team. It's going to be a game. That's a series that you can win 3 legitimately if you play somewhat well, and you got the Diamondbacks after who are tough. So these next couple series are really big. To get this momentum back, because if you could pick up a couple games with as many hurt guys as we have and then get healthy, you have a shot.
Sure. Exactly. You got to tread water, try to play 500 ball. In the words of the great Yogi Berra, it's getting late early. You don't want to fall too far behind Tampa Bay.
It's not over till the fat lady sings.
Oh, of course, but you still want to fall too far behind. Got to pick up wins.
In the great words of Yogi Berra, that restaurant's too busy. No one goes there anymore.
Amen to that.
That's Call to the Bullpen, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 2, Season 2. As always, listen, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Libsyn, YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Send us a message. Shoot out, text, a message, a phone call, an email. I don't really care. Reach out to us. Tell us where you're listening. Tell us how you're liking the show. Send us some questions, comments, concerns, who your favorite team is, what you think about the Yankees. I don't give a damn. Send us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. Jared, who are we?
This has been Call to the Bullpen.
What are we doing?
Hang it up.
Hang it up. Ring.